Howdy neighbors, welcome to another episode of Porch Talk. I hope you're having a wonderful and blessed day today. And today's subject is going to be preparing for another round of COVID-19. But before we get into today's video, I want to say a big thank you to all of our loyal subscribers and all of our new subscribers, and we want to say welcome to our new ones, and we certainly appreciate you. We will in the near future, we have other videos, and on one of those videos we'll be doing a 20,000 subscriber giveaway. So we appreciate all of you that have helped us meet our goal, and so watch for one of those videos. I won't do it on a Porch Talk because we usually take up too much time talking about important subjects such as COVID-19. But after you subscribe and you hit that little subscribe button, if you will click that little bell, then you'll be notified, or should be notified, when we upload videos. Also, if you have a comment, I love reading all the comments, and we'd love to hear from you. Also, if giving us a thumbs up, that helps as well, and you're welcome to share the video, and we certainly appreciate our watchers. We're also available on Facebook as well. Our primary means of doing videos is through YouTube right now, but we have started over on Facebook, and we're working on that as well. Anyway, getting into today's subject, a little bit about what we do, and getting into today's subject, not what we're doing, but what we're wanting to talk about today, is the COVID-19. Another round, preparing for another round. And before we even do that, I want to say our thoughts, our hearts, and our prayers go out to our President, Donald Trump, and his wife, who have been diagnosed, as you well know, with COVID-19. And also, there's many of you have sent me emails and have commented on our videos that you needed prayer because you or one of your loved ones has been diagnosed with the COVID-19. And so our prayers go out for you as well as if you're watching, I have a lot of friends. Maybe one of my friends or a relative or a close acquaintance has you have the COVID, and we know about it. Well, we just want to let you know we're praying for you as well. I have several that I know of that are in the hospitals and things like that. So our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers, most importantly, our prayers go out for you. And I believe we should be praying for our president, no matter what side of the aisle you are on. I believe if you're a Christian, you should be praying for your leaders, whether you agree with them or not. I happen to be a Trump supporter. I'm not ashamed of that. And that's not why the only reason I'm praying for him. But I believe as a Christian, we're supposed to pray for our leaders. I prayed for Obama when he was president. There were times that was concerning and that I thought he might be in harm's way, and some talking about things that wanted to harm him. And I tell you what, I want God's protection upon them and all of our presidents. I feel like they're in a very serious situation, and what they do and their decisions can affect the rest of the world. Not just here at home, but the rest of the world as well. So we want to keep them in our prayers. But in notice of that the president now has been diagnosed and is in the hospital. At the last word I knew, he was in the hospital, and things that are going on. Folks, we're in a serious time with this virus. Around our area here, we had not seen a whole lot of the virus. We had some that supposedly died of the virus. You know, I know there's arguments about that they're claiming a lot of folks have died that really didn't die of the virus, but yet we've had some that were sick, diagnosed with the virus, actually got sick, recovered, and have done well. In fact, 99.99% of the folks, I believe it is, or something like that, is a very high percentage of folks are surviving the virus and doing very well. And some don't think the virus is real. I happen to believe it's real, but you're welcome to your opinion. I'm not arguing the fact. I believe we've been attacked. I believe we were attacked. I believe we're in a war. and we were attacked with this virus. It seems very funny now that the president has it and a lot of the Republicans around have it, and some say, well, the president acted silly in the way he done not wearing a mask, and that's everybody to argue whatever, coulda, woulda, shouldas. But the thing is, you may not be aware of this, but the Secret Service guards the president. So you might think, and they are not your normal police force. They have a lot of covert things that they do that people don't even realize. The Air Force One, there is a reason that they generally park that right behind the president. For one, it provides a bulletproof shield. There's a bunch of different reasons. They have these trucks. If you've ever seen the entourage of vehicles that go with the president anywhere, if there's any kind of threat to the president, they don't let him go. And that includes the COVID-19. And they have protocols and things in place. They sample the air that the president, around where he's at. I mean, this is, they don't take it lightly. They have a team that goes in, an advanced team that even checks out everything before he ever even gets to wherever he's going to. The White House is very secure. There are a lot of things that we will never know about that are security measures in place. And so I seen the other day the president was signing autographs, and some police officers, first responders, and people were coming up to him. And the Secret Service, he has a main person that is his main contact with the Secret Service that's with him about everywhere he goes. But they immediately was like, hey, and they started telling him, get your mask on, get your mask on. They don't want people, they're protecting the president because this is a real threat. And a lot of folks are happy probably that the president has it. That's shame on you. I would not wish this virus on anybody. And I wanted to say something too. Some will say I'm getting too political probably in today's deal, because I'm going to get on with the COVID-19 crisis. But I wanted to say this. I thought it was very nice that Biden, his campaign come out and said they were going to take out the negative ads while the president was sick with this. And I thought that was, he took the high road. And I tell you, folks, we need more folks to take the high road. And as Christians, we should be doing that. And I thought that was very honorable of him. And so I know we're in a tense time politically here, but we're still humans and we're still American citizens. And so one thing that concerns me, we'll get on into the COVID-19. I believe we need to be prepared. Perhaps have some masks, hand sanitizer. Keep your supply up. If you, maybe you've kind of ran low on it. Maybe you've got kind of lax because you think that's going to go away very shortly or whatever. You can always use mask. You can always use hand sanitizer. Perhaps taking some of the things that are recommended. They say taking vitamin C. I take a lot of vitamin C. Maybe a multivitamin that has zinc and vitamin D in it, and a whole bunch of different things. Famotidine, they are saying that that helps if you have a supply on that, of that on hand. A lot of people take it anyway because they have upset stomachs. If I get one, I take one of those. So we usually have a pretty good supply of things like that here. Excuse me. Real windy today. It's kind of gotten a little dry here. Not severe dry, but it has. We hadn't had rain in a few days, and it's windy, and it's blowing some stuff in the air. But anyway, this COVID-19 is very serious. And one thing, let's say you say, well, it's not real. I'm going to address that for a little bit, because some say it's a fake virus. My son does, and he thinks this will all go away at the election is over with, and it may very well do it. I hope it does. I'm ready for it to get out of here. But whether it's real or not, it has real consequences, and it has hurt our country. Our country was shut down for a while. I honestly think we should have never shut down like we did. I think they should have got in protocols, got masks. I mean, they made all these ventilators, just make gobs of masks and handed them out down on the streets, everywhere. Wear a mask, things like that perhaps. It worked on the testing. I don't know, but I think it could have probably been done differently. Would I have done it differently at the first? No, because we didn't know what we know now. Now that we know what we know, could it have been done different? Yes. And there's all these sideline quarterbacks. I did run the score clock for the football games here. And when you're running that, you hear so many comments. Being up in the, what they call the press box, you hear all these people and all these different things being said and going on. And there's all these armchair quarterbacks, people saying, he should have went for a pass. He should have thrown a pass. The coach should have told him to throw a pass. And then once they throw a pass, no, they shouldn't have thrown a pass. They should never throw a pass. We never catch a pass. And it got intercepted, yada, yada, yada. You hear all this stuff. So it's easy to set back and say what we could have, should have, would have. And so shame on me for saying what I would have done different. But I will tell you this. I know what I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to be prepared with masks. We're going to be prepared with, we have stockpiled here some vitamin C and some other things that would be not just for the virus, but because it's flu season coming on, because this year I wonder if we'll see less flu because of people taking more precautions. And I always get a flu shot. Some are against that, but if you do get a flu shot, go get that done. Get it taken care of. We are having cooler weather than normal, and people are already starting to use their heat and stuff, and it seems like when we start closing up our homes and turning on the heat and things like that, that the flu epidemic starts going. I also believe that this virus will be worse too, just like the flu. I really thought it would go away pretty much during the summer months, but this virus has never went away. We still have it. But let's say other than whether you believe it's real or not, we have real consequences. What if our country shuts down again? We already see a lot of schools are shutting down because they have so many cases, so many students with the virus that they're shutting down. I think doing the virtual learning as long as they possibly can would be very good. Because kids wouldn't be bringing it home. It wouldn't be spread at school. They'd be bringing it home, doing it through computer and stuff. I know a lot of them around here say, the little children can't do that. They can't do it. Every one of these kids nearly you see running around with a smartphone that has internet. You could get your virtual learning on the phone. My son, and I know it ain't just him, a bunch of kids watch movies on their cell phone. Now, my problem is I wouldn't be able to see the picture watching that. I'd have to have I'd have to take my binoculars to see the picture on the smartphone. But they are, I have a smartphone, and I do sometimes, I have it where I can watch the news, watch TV, whatever on the smartphone. What I do is listen. Now, maybe if I'm going on a long trip down the road somewhere, or if my son's driving or whatever, I'll put my earbud in and I will listen because I'm not concerned about the picture, and I'll just listen to the news broadcast, or maybe one of our leaders are speaking. And, the way I like to do, I like to hear what the politicians are actually saying. The Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And I like to hear when Joe Biden speaks. I like to hear him speak. If he's given a speech or a campaign thing, I like to listen to that. If Donald Trump is, or if it's one of our local leaders. I don't like, if you watch CNN or CNBC or one of them, or Fox News, after they give the person gives their speech, then they want to tell you what they just said. I don't need Chris Wallace to tell me what the guy just said or the woman said. I heard him. I want to hear him for my ears because they twist it. Some people twist things. I know I'm getting off subject a little bit, but people twist things even concerning the Bible. People will take scriptures totally out of context, and pastors will take one little word out of the Bible and preach a whole sermon on it sometimes, and you hear things in it being twisted. And the way I feel about the Bible, it says, he that hath an ear, let him hear. And so one thing is reading it for myself. And I think in the Bible, you've got to read from beginning to the end. And if you can be very much taken out of context, you could say that David in the Bible rode a motorcycle because that it said his triumph was known throughout all Jerusalem. So maybe David had a Triumph motorcycle. Who knows? But that it could be used out of context. My wife Josie, she's from Arkansas originally. And she'll say that Arkansas is in the Bible in Genesis, because it says Noah looked out of the Arkansas. And so if you say it very quickly, you could say Arkansas is in the Bible. So you can twist things. And so there's a lot of things get twisted. I want to hear what the individuals say, what their actual words. If Dr. Fauci's on, or one of these, Dr. Burks, one of these people, I want to hear what they actually said, their whole statement, because if I can, now I don't have time to sit and listen to everything that's being said, but a lot of times they'll say, oh, but Dr. Fauci said this, but when you listen to the entire statement, these words will be twisted. And that happens with all of our leaders. And it happens with Biden, and it happens with Trump. So I'm like, listen to what they're saying, their total remarks, because like I said a while ago, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So I like to hear the truth. So I'll watch it on my phone. And I wonder why the children could not do virtual learning via their smartphones. And some say, well, a lot of the poor little children, they can't afford, their parents are poor and they can't afford phones. I'm telling you, folks, if they can afford DirecTV or Dish on their home, they can afford to get internet service. They can go to HughesNet. Maybe they need to get rid of DirecTV or Dish or some of those programs, some of those things, or maybe they need to downsize some of their expenditures and get their children internet if that's the whole problem. But the internet is available. You can even take through the smartphones. There's a way that you can share this stuff, and around our share your I forget what they call it now, but people that's within so many feet of you can use your internet off of your phone. And my son says that slows down your internet the more people that's using it, but you can allow folks to use it. But if nothing else, just use it for yourself. But a lot of parents have smartphones, the children have. I think there's ways. Around here, they're even sending little deals home with the children that don't want to go to school, that it's a little box that you turn on and you get Wi-Fi, the child will, the school's paying for them. It costing our schools a lot of money, costing us a lot of money. That's taxpayers. I don't have anyone in school now, but this stuff's costing me part of my taxes, and taxes are going to have to go up eventually. I don't want them to go up, but I have to pay for all these things. But maybe virtual learning would be good. I don't have to worry about that part. What I have to worry about is, what if our stores closed again? What if our stores run out of food again? I know we talk a lot about food shortages, and and I get lots of comments, folks saying that not everything's out, but some's out. And I wanted to share something about going to Sam's the other day. I did this on my last video, but I got 2 big boxes of spaghetti, and they had, I think, 4 or maybe 6 packages of 1-pound packages in this box. So I was going to get 2 of them. I didn't see a sign or anything that said you couldn't. When we got up there to check out, they kept one of them. They said you can only get 1 at a time. Now, someone suggested that you send your spouse or your others back through, and some do that, or you can go out and then come back in. I don't have time to do all that stuff. But nonetheless, they were limiting us on spaghetti, and I thought, what is the deal? Spaghetti ought to be very easy to make. That ought to be made by a machine and just processed out. But it's something to do with this virus. I went to Lowe's to get some electrical stuff the other day, and they're out of some of the electrical things. I'm able to get them other places, and they're expecting them in, but I heard the sales rep, he was talking to another guy, and he said a lot of our stuff comes from China. And right now, because of the virus and because of the trade tariffs and the trade war that's going on with China, a lot of the stuff's, it's hard to get here. And so being prepared as much as we can for another shutdown. What if our country had to shut down? What if your city government, your state government, things like that had to shut down? Maybe we had to go into a worse shutdown than we were Are you prepared for that? We were prepared when we went into a shutdown this last time. In fact, we had already decided we weren't going to go places, and we kind of self-isolated here. In fact, we both felt bad back early there in March, and this talk of this virus and stuff was going on, and I said, we're just going to kind of quarantine for 2 or 3 weeks until we get over it. And we had a dry cough, ran fevers, things like that. We could have had no telling what. There was nowhere around here that you could be tested. And I wasn't about to go to the hospital and try that because we weren't that sick. And I was afraid if you didn't already have it, the hospital, if you're not sick, a hospital is a good place to get sick, in my opinion. But anyway, we went through it and we got over it, and we kind of self-isolated, self-quarantined. But we had enough stuff put back here that it did not affect us. And so I hope that you have made preparations, and if you're not, and I know a lot of you tell me about what you've been doing, and you're on track to do very well. Do all you can to be prepared, really, for a whatever. Whether this COVID thing continues or not, there's common sense things. If you're out and around people and you're touching, like you go to Walmart or you go to the doctor or wherever you had to go and you're touching things, try not to touch your mouth and stuff, your face, if you're out. Out here, I'm where nobody else has been here in quite some time except for me and my wife and my son. So we're out here and we're pretty well isolated. We do have company every once in a while, but that is very rare. And we're also, when I'm out and about in places, I keep hand sanitizer in all of my vehicles, and I have one in my work truck with a hand dispenser. If I go to town, sometimes they'll have it there, a hand dispenser of hand sanitizer before you go into the building. You can put on a mask. I have masks. My sister, bless her heart, she, as a gift to me and my son, she had us custom-made mask with our business name on it. And then after she got through with that, I told her, I said, well, did you see if that individual would make me another dozen of those masks? And she said, well, they're washable and stuff. I said, I understand, but it'd be nice, like in the evenings, I can bring the one I've used during the day home, leave it here. Josie would wash it, and then what she does now, she'll lay it on my dresser, and the next day I just put one in my pocket, and I've got it. I've got backups in all the vehicles as far as hand sanitizer and mask. If we go somewhere, like we had to go to Lowe's the other day and to Tractor Supply, I wear a mask. I'm definitely not saying that's a catch-all. I also, here lately, I wear glasses a lot, so having those on, I know stuff can come in and it's airborne and all that, but kind of protecting your eyes. Try not to get close to people. I had an individual the other day at church. A guy was visiting, and a young guy, and and it wasn't his fault. He just wasn't thinking, but he wanted to visit with me, and he just kept visiting. Well, he kept getting closer and closer. I mean, getting right up here, and I guess he thinks because I'm older, I don't hear very well. So he was trying to get closer, so I would hear what he was saying, but I was thinking, and my mask was out in the vehicle, or I could have put it on, but I didn't want to be rude. I try to be nice to folks, and I'm kind of, stay back 6 foot back if you can, and visit and do things, but use common sense, and anyway, I kept backing away, and he'd get a little bit closer, but I thought hopefully he would get the point that, when you're around people, and especially if you go to around somebody that is vulnerable. We've got a lot of elderly around here that I know were vulnerable, and a lot of them, we've had several die that had underlying conditions. They were already ready. I mean, they were so fragile as it was, in my opinion, that it was just anything was going to take them out. And it's sad. We miss them. I mean, a lot of folks, it's going to be a different world. And I'm going to tell you something, folks, too. We've had just as many, if not more, die of other things that wasn't COVID related here. And I don't know how it is in your area. Here it seems like, and maybe you could comment on this, we've had a lot of death this year, a lot of death around. People dying in car accidents, people getting sick with this and that and dying, and also the deaths from the COVID. It seems like every week I know somebody that has passed away, and I have actually spoke at several funerals this year, way more than normal, and I was asked to, so I just, it seems like that it is a lot of death around us, and so that concerns me very much. And some have been probably drug-related deaths here, and some and I hate to even say that, but I just take that because that you hear gossip and things, and some of the people that I've heard that's passed away, and I've wondered if some have gotten depressed because they were off work and maybe they went back on dependency more. I have heard when this all first started, a lot of the ministers were concerned around here because as part of church, oftentimes we will have individuals that get delivered from drugs and alcohol. They get involved in church, they get away from that, and the Lord sets them free, and they just do such a wonderful thing. They get around a crowd of positive thinkers that don't use addictive substances, and they seem to do really well. But then something can throw them out. I've had people throw them out of just all of a sudden they just have a relapse and they just go back because now they're not working, they're at home all the time, they're depressed, they're concerned about the country, about the world because of all this going, and they can't handle it and they get down, and then they get back on the drugs, and sometimes worse than they were before. So whether that's all there was to it, some people just have a dependency, and just some are worse, just seem like they have dependencies on things a lot worse than others, but it's very serious around here, and we feel for them. But then when you can't go to church, and people were, for a while, all of our churches was closed, and a lot of the ministers was worried that these folks would fall off the bandwagon. And I've had former drug people and former alcoholics. Now, some say once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. Well, where they get this at, I had an individual tell me some time ago that they could very easily, haven't had a drink in years, but they feared that they could very easily, if they took one drink of alcohol, that they would very easily go back into their dependency. So it's very concerning with that, concerning this COVID virus. So with all these things going on, and if you had to quarantine, if you had to isolate, let's say you come down with a virus and you had to stay home, they were saying 14 days. A lot of businesses here for some reason was making their employees quarantine for 15 days after contacting the virus. Then they had to come back with 2 negative tests to go back to work. So if they got the 2 negatives and it had been 15 days, they were allowing them to go back to work. Now I understand that the CDC is recommending 10 days and 2 negative tests, so they've shortened that window of time. I've heard they were recommending here that if you'd been around somebody that for sure had tested positive and you believe that you were around them at all close or you could catch it, that you should stay home for 15 days, whether you were tested or not. And if you had no symptoms, everything was fine after 15 days. And we've had people do that. We had a man that his daughter has it, and he tested negative. All that, has not been sick or nothing, but he had talked about not coming to church and called me the other day, wanted to know. And I said, I definitely think that probably, wait 15 days from your exposure. If you're clear from that point, I would say you're fine. But could you stay home for 15 days? There's a lot of folks go to church and, they're dear old saints, and they're on the firing line for the Lord. But I've thought before, wonder how many of those saints have killed folks. They've probably wiped out more folks than the devil has, because they've come to church sick, running a fever, feeling bad, and took out many other suspected individuals. And maybe that's not true, but I have thought that a lot, and I have said that before, made that statement. But I've thought there's been a lot a lot of good old saints that just said, I'm going to church no matter what happens. I'm going, and I'm running a fever. I've had them sat in church so sick they couldn't even hold their head up and running a serious fever, and then still coming on church. If you're sick, stay home. Don't go to church. Don't go to school. Don't go to the store. Don't go places and spread this thing around. And if people come to your home to visit, warn them. Say, hey, I'm sick, and it could be this virus. Even if you don't want to go get tested. If you want to go tested, fine. But if you're sick, period, you could have the flu or whatever. Don't spread these viruses around, folks. Use just common sense. But get yourself prepared so that if you couldn't go work, if you couldn't go to the store, what if your place of work shuts down? Most Americans live check to check. I used to live check to check. I've gotten more disciplined than that. Not saying I'm financially solvent at all, but to say this, that I don't live check to check. And I thank the Lord for that. But so many do. And I remember a time when I worked for Sears Roebuck and Company, and they would FedEx our checks to our, I worked from my home, but once a week I had to go pick up my check. And on the payday, which usually the checks would be there on Thursday, even though you wasn't supposed to cash them till Friday. But I needed my check, so I'd go get it on Thursday, and first thing Friday morning, I had that check in the bank because I needed to cover checks. And but sometimes there was a problem where the checks didn't come by FedEx, and maybe they wouldn't come a few times, very, very rare, but we had times that they didn't make it till the next day, maybe on Saturday or the Monday following. And if you couldn't go get your check then, I mean, if you'd have bounced checks, or not bounced, but overdrafts. And I don't know if you ever know what I'm talking about. I assume everybody knows what an overdraft was, but used to, they'd charge you $10 or $12 for overdraft. And man, it don't take long. You might have wrote a $3 check. And now I use debit card, but you could still, with a debit card, check card, or whatever you use, you could incur a overdraft fee. What I like to do is use a credit card, do all your expenses on that throughout the month, and then just pay it. And if you can be disciplined and do that, that works very well. And then there's not an overdraft fee. And if you don't have the money, or they just don't let you take it, you can also set up your checking account that way too, where it won't let you overdraft. And that's probably would be very wise for a lot of folks to do. But if you're dependent and you work check to check and that's all you got, it's very hard to ever break that cycle. It's almost like a curse. It's like your bills. If you'll pay your water bill as soon as you get it, you pay your electric bill as soon as you get it, your phone bill, all these things, car payments, whatever, as soon as you get it. And if you'll get to working to where that you're actually paying, some of the bills say car payments, you're paying them 30 days in advance. If you can do that, you'll save a whole lot of money on interest just by paying that car payment in advance. But it takes a while because you have to discipline yourself. It takes extra money. You have to cut out some things, extra expenditures. A lot of folks say they don't have discretionary income to spend on whatever, but they do. Most folks, I can tell you, have told me that, and just sitting down talking with them, they'll say, oh, I don't have any extra income. I could never save. I couldn't do anything. But they do. And when they get to telling you all the things, they'll be sitting there and they'll say, well, I lost $300 at the casino last month. Or, boy, these cigarettes, they sure are going up. Or, my kid, every time I turn around, they want a brand new pair of shoes. Ain't nothing wrong with their shoes that they got, but I'm going to buy them a new one. Boy, that DirecTV went up. I'm paying $150 a month on DirecTV. Now, I could go on with the list, but folks, there are ways of cutting things out and saving you some money up, or you could get ahead on your finances so you're not living check to check. But it takes discipline. I got in that rat race of being check to check for years and being overdrafted, and sometimes it was just awful. You get in this rotation and going, and it can destroy you. But if you're then if I was not to got my check, or if my work would have shut down, or I would have got laid off because I've already had next week's check spent before I even got it, folks, you're in a bad situation. So get to where you could make it a little while. But it takes time, and I know you can't just jump out and do it, but with this virus, getting prepared for another round if things get bad this year. And let me tell you something, too. You might say, oh, that's a bunch of silliness. I'm not going to do that. It's silly to prepare. It's silly to prep, and I don't want to do all that because this virus is not going to get bad. I hope it don't get bad again. I hope we're seeing a little uptick around here in cases, but the deaths here in our state are actually going down, and the hospitalizations are going down. So those are good things. But let's say you get your finances in order, where if your work quit and went out for whatever reason. Let's say your company went bankrupt and you went to work tomorrow morning and they gave you a pink slip and said, hey, you're done. Well, if you're prepared, you can say, okay, hey, you know what? I got a little bit of money put back in savings, and it ain't much, but I've got a little bit of income put back where I could survive a little while. I got my house in order, got things going, and I've been wanting to start me a business, and I think I'll take little savings out and I'll go start me a business. I'm laid off, ain't got nothing else to do. Why not? And you could do something and be prepared for whatever. Your work may close, your business may go bankrupt and have absolutely nothing to do with COVID. So being prepared, being ready for stuff, but most importantly, right now, today's thing is about being ready for the COVID, using some common sense approach. If you don't need to be around in big crowds, don't go. If you're, I have folks that tell me they can't go to church, but at the same time you're visiting with them and they go to Walmart. And one of my close relatives, I say one, a bunch of them, they go to Walmart nearly every day. And they was like, well, I had to get this and I had to get that. And I don't like going to Walmart. I'll just tell you, one thing at Walmart, you wear yourself out. If you go in there, I've went before. It's been a long time that I've had to go for Josie because she takes care of all that stuff. But there was times she'd say, hey, you're going to be down there. You'll be in Muskogee, and how about go by that Walmart store? Well, the groceries, she'll say, I need a can of peaches for a cobbler I'm making, and I need you to go down there into the fabric area and get me this certain pair of scissors that I need, or this and that. And so by the time you walk and do all that stuff, you've wore yourself out. Then you get up there in line and you got to stand, and it's like going and paying the government money. You got to stand in line to give them money. And I just don't like it, folks. And so even without the COVID, I don't like having to do it. If I do go into Walmart, and I probably about once every 6 months go to Walmart, and I usually will make a good round of it. I really get what I need. I get out of there. But if I can keep from going, in fact, I try to shop local here at our local merchants as much as possible. I pay a little bit more for some of the things. Sometimes they're as good a price here as you can go get anywhere else. But sometimes they are a little bit higher, and I know that. But I think by the time I spend an hour driving and getting it, and the gas and all the stuff involved, I would be better off. Plus, I'm helping local folks. So living in a rural community, I try to help my local community as much as possible, and I hope you will too. But I hope you're preparing. I hope you're taking this time serious. Some are saying we're in for an October surprise. I think the president being hospitalized, that would go down as an October surprise. But I think we could very well, being so close to election, be up for some other surprises. And all this virus that's happened right now, folks, it really concerns me. And I kind of wonder with the ones that's getting it right now, it seems I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but I kind of think there's something up with all this. And I'm sure there'll be some videos out, and some will make up all kinds of stuff. And true or untrue, you get a lot of fake news nowadays. But it just, I was listening to Tucker Carlson on YouTube. They had a little thing, a video of him talking to Donald Trump's son, and he was updating them on the condition of his father. And when it got through, Tucker said, "Isn't it kind of funny that this close to the election, considering how much your father has been out and about with all this virus and gone all kinds of places and done things, never has stopped, and now he's getting it? And also, isn't it kind of funny the ones getting it?" So I thought, if you listen to that, if you get to watch it on YouTube, and I thought he thought there was something up. Don't mean that he knows anything more than what I know or you know about it, but I thought there does seem kind of fishy to me. And so, like I say, I don't want to be one of these conspiracy folks, but it does seem kind of strange. But I just wonder what other kind of surprises we're going to be into. And our news folks, meteorologists, are believing here in our area, they're thinking we're going to have a little more snow, and they think we'll actually have a good snow sometime in November this year. We haven't been getting any snow to speak in. Last year we just had a dust, and it lasted a day, gone the next day. It was real pretty, but it's the kind of snow I like. It comes one day and gone the next. I know some of you up north deal with snow it seems like you have 6 months out of the year of bad weather. A lot of my friends go out to, and relatives and stuff, go to Colorado hunting for elk around in September. And they got out there this year and got snowed on and very cold weather, colder than normal, and some of them weren't prepared for that. And so it's coming in a little early this year, and the meteorologists are saying we may have a little more snow, which snow and ice and things like that could cause us to be shut in more or whatever. So being prepared for whatever may come, and that's what we talk about here at the Homestead a whole lot, and especially on Porch Talk, is being prepared. But today's subject, of course, was being prepared for another round of COVID-19. I certainly appreciate you watching today. May God richly bless you, and we'll see you next time here at Porch Talk, 7 o'clock on Tuesday nights, and we're gone.